We love to celebrate women on this show, and March being Women's History Month, there is no better time. NDSU is hosting a film event called I Plan to Vote with My Daughters. It's talking about women's road to suffrage in North Dakota, and today we have Ashley Baggett, an assistant professor of history at NDSU, joining us. Thank you for coming in today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Let's just start with Women's History Month and just really how important it is to have this discussion, have this conversation, and note its importance this month.
Well, women's history is actually rather new. It's kind of new even in my lifetime. It wasn't fully explored or even considered a topic of study until the late 70s, early 80s. And so just kind of discovering, even finding, they scrambled in the late 70s and the early 80s to try and find even material to cover on women's history, important women. It was difficult to unearth that. So my field has done so much in the past few decades. And so women's history is all about encouraging the study of women's history, commemorating all the efforts and the successes of women's history, women in American history, and just, recognizing that and bringing awareness.
Commemorating. I also like celebrating that you said that. I would think that there would be a real thirst for something like this at NDSU as well, with so many students and a lot of female, but also male. This isn't something that only women have to, recognize and celebrate, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I teach a lot of male students in my Women in American History class, and they always add so much to the discussion and learn so much.
Okay, I love that. Let's talk about this event tonight. It's a film event. I Plan to Vote with My Daughters. Tell us a little bit about this documentary.
This is actually a documentary that I have some wonderful colleagues, and one of my colleagues, Angela Smith, she had her class. She does a digital history class with her public history students. And they created a documentary where they researched the local movement in Fargo-Moorhead. And they created a 15-minute documentary about weaving it with the national woman suffrage movement, but then talking about how it directly impacted Fargo-Moorhead and some of the amazing efforts of the suffragists, the men and women in the Fargo-Moorhead movement. And so it's one of her students, a group of her students actually created this documentary.
When was it created? Is it fairly new?
Last semester.
Just last semester. Yeah. Okay, that's incredible. Talk a little bit about if people are thinking, why should they go tonight? I mean, I feel like you sold me on it right there, but give us a little bit more as to why this would really be beneficial for people to go to.
I think it celebrates the unique history of Fargo-Moorhead. There's so many ties. There were actually women from North Dakota who attended the DC parade in 1913, but there were some really valiant efforts by women in Fargo-Moorhead area, organizing particularly with the Women's Christian Temperance Union and some of the fortnightly clubs, the women's clubs in the time period. They just did an amazing job in watching the legislature, being involved in the Nonpartisan League, really supporting the vote for women. And so it's just kind of interesting to hear their stories and learn about them and how they use these local resources in North Dakota to help push for the vote.
And so the documentary only 15 minutes long, but you have a panel afterwards as well. Why is this panel put together, and what kind of discussion are you hoping comes out of it?
We have a really good group of panelists. So we have two NDSU professors who research the Fargo-Moorhead woman suffrage movement. And then we also have an undergraduate student who helped prepare the documentary. So she will be on there. And then we also have the director of museum operations at the Historical and Cultural Society of Clay County.
Okay, so even though we're talking about the history, I feel like this could not be more timely with just where we are in the political world right now as well. Why do you think, just how this is all falling into place is so important?
Well, this is commemorating the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which was so important in terms of women's political citizenship. And so we will have different groups and organizations there. NDSU Archives will actually have the Emily Reynolds Historic Costume Collection, and they'll have artifacts from the time period, as well as the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan group to encourage women to vote and to get involved in the political process.
This is great. Okay, tell us one more time, where exactly will it be held, what time, so people can go tonight?
It's at the Fargo Theater at 7 p.m. free and open
Free,
to the public.
okay,
Yeah.
free and open to the public. That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I feel like you have a wealth of information. I'd just love to pick your brain or take your class. Thank you so much for your time. Stay with us. Coming up next here on North Dakota, helping those with developmental disabilities or delays. That is the mission of our next guest. Stay with us.